Morning all. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Tuesday, March the 12th. A couple of topics that a lot of people have been talking about the last few days, so we'll talk about it here. A topic out of last night's game between the Rangers and New Jersey, a topic that's been out there. This Rempe kid, right? So he's become kind of a folk hero with Rangers fans. I do have some concerns about how he's playing the game. The NHL voicing their concerns to him today over the phone. It's a phone hearing for him for the elbow on Siegenthaler last night in the game. New Jersey, not a huge fan of Rempe. I'm not sure what happens the next time these teams meet, but I'm pretty sure that's next season. I don't think they have another game to go this year. But at any rate, if they do, then we'll see if there's a fight at the start of that one. But he has a hearing today for the elbow on Siegenthaler. I think it's going to be a couple of games. I thought it was reckless. And yeah, it's just one of those things that you can't have that in the game. But again, he refused to fight afterwards. McDermott after the game saying he lost respect for Rempe, and this is where things get tricky for him. Is if he gets the reputation, whether it's fair or it's not, that he cheap shots. If he gets the reputation that he's not willing to answer the bell after that, well, it all goes downhill after that, doesn't it? But at any rate, we'll see. So Arizona news, and the reason why I'm wearing a Coyotes jersey, and we'll see where this goes. So the Board of Appeals in Arizona will decide Thursday whether to have a public auction for the land that the Coyotes want in Phoenix. So they want this land in Northeast Phoenix. It has been appraised at $68.5 million. If it goes to auction, it's going to sell for more than that. That's just how auctions go. And then the auction would likely be 10 weeks after the meeting on Thursday. So again, it's 2.5 months down the road from the Thursday meeting. It's not ideal for the NHL. Of course, they'll stay in mullet for next season, but I think the NHL wanted some clarity a little bit sooner than May or June, and that's where we're at. So. And then what if they don't win the auction? Or what if there's something else that comes up, some other red tape where somebody tries to block them putting the arena there, which has been speculated that there could be a movement to stop it. So we saw that in Tempe. We could see it again in Northeast Phoenix. But either way, this is the route that they're traveling down. This is the parcel of land they decided that they want. We'll see how it goes. I'm just kind of surprised because this is the one parcel of land that apparently they want, but there was a lot of areas that they were looking at. I'm kind of surprised they didn't just put down deposits on various pieces of land, but I guess this is the one they've considered to be the best choice for them to build their $2 billion entertainment district. The plan is to build basically the same thing they were going to build in Tempe, just put it in Northeast Phoenix, and we'll see whether or not that succeeds. So it's another day for the Coyotes organization, and it's another day of us speculating on when, if they're going to get this building, and where, or if it's gonna be there, where, and what's it gonna look, and how long until it opens, because it's going to be years after they get the approval and start the process of building. It's still another 5 years, 4 or 5 years. It's a long time. So the National Hockey League, once all this is done, we'll see how they view it and whether they support it or what happens. This came out yesterday. I didn't do a news video strictly on this. Thatcher Demko, it's going to be 2 to 4 weeks for him. I've already seen the dire prediction articles of, how will the Canucks survive? They're first place in their division by 10 points. Yes, the Oilers have 3 games in hand on them. They're honestly, they've just started a 9-game homestand. If you're going to lose your goalie for a few weeks, this is kind of the best time to do it. They're at home. Silovs can jump in there and play a game here and there. DeSmith has been fine as the backup. I don't think it's necessarily a big deal, and I think the Canucks should be fine. Obviously, the fact it's only 2 to 4 weeks is great. That's fine. At least we don't have to worry about him missing any playoff time. That's the important thing right now with Demko. So fingers crossed he's back in 2 weeks rather than 4. But either way, I don't think it's as dire as what's being portrayed. So I wanted to get into LTIR. I wanted to use this video and get into LTIR because there's a lot of discussions within hockey circles about how dare Vegas, how dare they. But I think that if the NHL does what I think a lot of fans are basically suggesting, I think we're going to see a lot of teams having troubles. So Kelly McCrimmon coming out and defending their use of LTIR with the lacerated spleen for Mark Stone. Like we're this close to getting like footage of his surgery, and I'd really rather not. But that seems to be where we're headed with this. And he says the NHL polices these moves. Now, here's the problem. There are players out there that say they don't. There are players who have come out and said, "Yeah, I was placed on LTIR. Team didn't contact me." There's stories out there. There's a few players that have talked about LTIR and whether or not it's policed by the NHL and how vehemently they check and how rigorous they are with that. Now, currently, the Vegas Golden Knights have $15.9 million on LTIR. But this is where it can backfire. Toronto currently has $16.362 million or $16,362,500 in LTIR. Thank you, Cap Friendly. For Muzzin, Murray, Klingberg, Timmins, and Giordano. Now, if you decide that, well, players can't come back for the playoffs, it's going to have to be for everybody. If you decide teams can't be more than X amount of dollars over with LTIR, that's going to have to go for everybody. And it's going to have to be the next CBA where they would change this. The total salary, if you're looking at salaries of teams, right now Toronto has $97,637,748 in salary. The salary cap's $83.5 million. Vegas is actually third in overall salary behind Toronto and Tampa. Tampa, $93,622,815. Vegas sitting at $92,307,150. Kelly McCrimmon also saying they could have found a way to add the players they did at the deadline with Stone as an active player in the lineup. Might have required a little more work, but they could have made it happen. And there are 11 teams, according to Cap Friendly, that would be over the cap without long-term injured reserve being used. And keep in mind, that's not including the teams that used a third-party mediator to eat some of the salary cap money in order to stay under the salary cap. So you're looking at probably about half the league. That if the league came down and said, okay, we're gonna decide to change everything with LTIR, fans would be happy with what it would do to Vegas, but I think the knock-on effect of what it would do to the other teams in the league, I don't think they'd be as big of a fan. Now, of course, the idea that, well, in the playoffs, why isn't there a salary cap? It's because players get paid during the regular season. They're not technically paid during the playoffs. You get a playoff bonus, which varies depending on which round you get to. The playoff bonuses, though, are nowhere near the amount of money they make during the regular season. But that's why. That's the reasoning behind not having a salary cap in the playoffs. I'm not against having a salary cap in the playoffs. But the way that it generally works during the regular season is if a team's over the salary cap, they play with one less skater or two less skaters. So in the playoffs, you'd be in a situation where Vegas would just say, well, we'll just go with 11 forward, 6 defensemen then, is how that would end up working. And then you just make sure that your roster on the ice is cap compliant. That's generally the way it's worked at the National Hockey League level. So I don't know that the NHL is going to do anything to change LTIR. They've been resistant in the past, and I think the fact that there's almost half the league that's using it for various reasons. I'm not saying anybody's using it for nefarious reasons, because I don't think Vegas is either. This is a team that's been in a tailspin. They haven't had Stone. They haven't had Martinez. Martinez being their best shot blocker. Stone being their best two-way forward. If you're going to fake this and get, use LTIR to cheat, I'm not taking Stone out of the lineup. I'm not taking Martinez out of the lineup either. I'm going to take other players out of the lineup instead. But again, I get what people are upset about and everything. It's the last time I'm going to mention it in a news video. I reserve the right to mention it in a video about Vegas once the season is done, and I do the videos reviewing all 32 teams, how their seasons went and everything. But for a news video, I think I'll wrap it up there. It's just I keep seeing it, I keep hearing about it, and I figure I might as well, just throw it into the video here and point out there are a lot of teams that are using LTIR to get under the cap. And I don't think it's being used nefariously necessarily, but there are teams that the reports have been that this team will put a player on LTIR and they check them over and then they send them home and then that's it. So again, until NHL executives, until GMs, until they get really upset about it, and they haven't, until that changes, it's going to stay the way that it is, which of course is not going to make people happy. But in general, if you have a team that's contending, and especially if they're one of the top teams in the league year after year after year, you're going to end up over the salary cap, and you're going to end up having to get creative to get under the salary cap in all likelihood, or you're just going to have to sell guys off for pennies on the dollar, which Vegas has done over summers. When you look at Pacioretty and Fleury, just as two examples off the top of my head, they've had to dump salary off, and they haven't been shy about doing it, and they may do it again this summer as well, because their plan is to stay in contention for as long as possible. It definitely seems to help. The other mention too by Kelly McCrimmon was that they had their own first round draft pick in 2023, and they're only the third of the last 10 Stanley Cup champions to have their own first round draft pick and use it in the draft when they've won the Stanley Cup. So yeah, anyways, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.